Hi guys, welcome back to The Contented Plant. Today we are going to be repotting my neon pothos into a hanging pot. It's just getting too long to keep as a table centerpiece anymore. It wants to trail, so we're going to repot it so that it can trail over the side of the pot and become long and gorgeous. At the same time, I'm going to be propagating some of these long trailers, and I'm going to do that with you guys so you can see the process that I use. I have so many of my friends that want a cutting of this plant. It's definitely a top favorite. Everybody just falls in love with that beautiful chartreuse, these neon green leaves. They're just gorgeous. It's a stunning house plant, and I'm going to make some more for my friends. So let's get started. One thing about this plant in particular that I find really interesting and I love is it has one vine that has variegation on it. And look how pretty that is. It's got 3 different colors of variegation. This leaf back here that's on the same vine also has it. You can see right on the edge there, it's got that variegation. So I'm tempted to do a little experiment and propagate this and see if we could get some more of those variegated leaves. So we might also do that today as well and just experiment and see what we can do with that. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna repot the neon first, and then I'm gonna decide which pieces that I wanna take to propagate. The substrate that I like to use for pothos is 80% potting mix. This is a peat-based potting mix, and about 20% perlite. I like that mix because it's pretty quick draining, but it also holds a little bit of water. Pothos come from Tahiti or the French Polynesian area, and they do like humid and they like to be a little bit moist. So we like to keep their soil moist, but they also are prone to root rot like any other house plant. So we make sure that it can also drain. Okay, this is the tricky part. I am going to gently flip my plant over here and try and get it out without injuring it. Okay, I repotted this plant probably 2 months ago, right before summer started. And if you guys can see that, all of these roots here are new. These are new since I repotted it just in the summertime. This ball right up here was where the original pot was, so it's grown quite a bit since I've transferred it to that new pot. I'm just gently massaging it so I can take a really good look at the root structure, make sure everything's healthy. I think it is. There's no weird smells. These roots look just fantastic. I'm not seeing any signs of rot or damage at all. So I am very happy with that, and we can go ahead and repot it into our hanging planter. So my new pot that I'm going to use has a drainage hole in the bottom, and it also has a little plug in the bottom, so when I'm watering I don't make a big mess. But you always want to remove that plug when you're watering and let the excess water drain through so you don't drown your plant on accident. So we're going to go ahead and fill this up with my 80% potting mix and 20% perlite mixture. So I'm going to gently place this in here. I'm going to be careful. It's kind of spreading itself out a bit, but as I said before, these are very hardy plants, and it will quickly adapt to being in a new pot. Okay, so you can see I have a lot of space sitting here on the sides. I've just kind of put the roots down here. You can see the stem is right here on this line, and it's kind of got aerial roots that are shooting off the side there, and that's great. We're just gonna fill this up so that the soil comes just underneath here, and those aerial roots can grow down and keep growing us a big, beautiful neon pothos plant. So I'm just gonna push it to the side, fill in some dirt, and make sure that I have all those roots properly covered. Okay, so I have all the soil in here. I've just repotted it. Look how beautiful that looks in this pot. I'm so excited about that. It has 2 gorgeous vines coming down. I am gonna chop one of these vines and leave the other one to keep growing, just because I do have a lot of people that want cuttings of this plant, and then we can go through how to propagate and chop it. So we will do that next. I'm gonna chop this side. I'm gonna keep this side. I might take a couple more off depending on how much I want to get out of here. So to propagate, I always use these tiny little scissors. I have sterilized them. Always make sure you're working with sterile tools. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna find our vine here that I wanna chop. And I'm gonna chop it pretty far. I'm gonna bring it all the way up. I'm gonna leave it right there, okay. So I have these sections here, and you can see right here, we have what's called internodal spacing, and that is right where we are going to chop. And then we are gonna place each of these nodes that are right here in that leaf space down into the water, and they will grow new roots so we can have a new plant. I have my section here, so I'm going to start chopping these into sections with my sterile scissors. I also have my propagation jar. I just prefer to propagate pothos in water. Honestly, they're one of the easiest plants to propagate. You can propagate them in soil if you wish. Just keep the soil moist and they will grow. That is a pretty slow option though. I did that before with the neon and it took a really long time for it to grow roots in the soil. So I don't really recommend that one. I think the water is the best. It's the fastest if you just want some quick root growth. It's always nice because you can see it growing in the water as well. The other option is sphagnum moss. I think you could propagate these in perlite. Really anything you want, you can propagate them in. I've also propagated them in my fish tank. They grow really fast in there because the water's warm, there's lots of humidity, and there's lots of nitrates. What I've done with this water is I've added a drop of Super Thrive just because we're going through a really dark, rainy time in the Pacific Northwest where I live. So to give it a little extra boost, I just give it some Super Thrive during the winter because it'll help it propagate faster since we have lower light. So my neon, I like to keep it, the rule with the neons is if they're in a brighter lit area, you'll get more of these gorgeous neon colored leaves. The plant can convert sunlight easier out of the darker green areas. So if you have it in a really dark area, it's gonna start putting out those darker green leaves just to protect itself. If you have it in a really brightly lit area, then you're likely to get a lot more of those beautiful bright neon leaves. The other thing about this plant is as the leaves age, you can see right in the middle here, I have my older leaves. They do turn a darker green. So this one's a nice old leaf that you can see. That's a darker green than these little guys up top that are brand new. So you kind of get like this beautiful bowl of varying colors of green, which is just gorgeous as well. Honestly, one of my favorite plants. I just love this plant. Okay, just for a fun science experiment, I went ahead and grabbed one of these leaves that has the variegation right on the side of the leaf here. In all likelihood, it's not going to continue on that variegation, but it might, and we're just going to see, because why not? Let's play around and see what we can do here. So I'm going to add it into my propagation glass, and now I have my cute little glass full of neons, and I will keep this in a brightly lit area, and we will see how the roots grow. So my top care tips for this plant would be make sure you have it in a pot with a drainage hole so you don't get root rot. I only water mine about every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's 2.5 weeks. I really let them dry out quite a bit. And when I water, I saturate them every single time. And that kind of mimics the natural environment they would get if they were out in the rainforest. Sometimes they can go a long time without water and then all of a sudden it'll just like downpour on them. So plants really like to have their soil saturated when you're watering. Instead of frequent small waterings, I would try and wait a couple weeks and give it a very thorough watering. You can either bottom water it or you can pour it into the top. I prefer bottom watering because then the plant can drink as much as it wants and you have less fungus gnats that way, which nobody likes those little guys. My other care tip would be to keep it in a brightly lit area if you want those beautiful neon leaves. Obviously don't have it in hot direct sun all day or those leaves can get sunburnt, so be wary of that. But also don't sit it in a really dark little corner unless you just want those really dark green leaves to come out and not that neon color. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Otherwise, you can follow me on Instagram at The Contented Plant and TikTok at The Contented Plant. Have a wonderful day and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.